Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Pike over here. You know, I looked at the fiat system and I see so much inefficiencies. We always say Bitcoin bring efficiency to the system because there's too much inefficiencies, too much waste. Like when you have unlimited money printing, if there's no disciplinary in the money supply, then you will ultimately end up in a situation where you have a waste, right? For example, you have like cities. Some city, they have a budget, and every year, if they didn't use all of the money, next year the money and the budget reduce. So they have an incentive to use all the money regardless if they really needed it or not. So that's why I see most cities, their budget is always going up. So it's so funny when I hear some countries say they're gonna reduce their budget. It's a lie, because how can you reduce the budget where every year things get more and more expensive, right? So inflation is getting higher and higher. Not only that, but you have waste in the system, right? Like, think about it. Do you have a few cops driving pickup trucks? It's like, why do you need a pickup truck for? You don't need a pickup truck to run after somebody, those are inefficiencies in the system, right? So those are things when I looked at, and I'm like, why should I leave my money in such a system that designed to steal and waste and lose, right? It's a loser system. Most countries are basically in deficit, okay? So they basically lose more money than what they keep. Not only that, it's so insane to see like how countries are fighting to decrease the value of their currencies, right? It's crazy. Like, as a country, you would love to have a currency that has more and more value, right? But politicians don't want that. They want the value of the currency to go lower every year, right? That's why they force inflation upon us, right? And when they all say they want to fight inflation by raising interest rate, it's so funny, because you can never do that, ever. You cannot lower inflation by higher interest rate, okay? Because inflation is an increase in the money supply, right? So it's an increase in the money supply. This is the definition of inflation. It's just too much money in the system. How do you reduce the money in the system? You take it out, or you just, stop putting money in the system. But the problem with the interest rate, it does not do any of that. It's just, give you the impression something serious is going on, but nothing is going on. The money supply keep on rising higher and higher. You still got people getting free money in welfare. What the fuck? So everybody else has to work to strengthen a currency where politicians use that money to give to a bunch of crooks sitting home, not doing anything, so they can vote to keep them in power. So you see, so the system is self-sustaining itself badly in a way where, it's kind of stealing from you, give it to a bunch of people, specifically they are getting paid to vote. That's why democracy, it's a flawed system. democracy is, is working. Democracy can't work because you always end up with a bunch of people voting for no valid reason, right? They're just voting, they're not voting based on value. They are voting based on waste, right? They just want free money while they vote this guy, right? So that's the problem here. The problem is we need a system where you're self-sovereign, right? I'm sure there are much more people who don't want to be who don't want a leader, right? There's much more people now who doesn't want somebody to tell them what to do, right? I don't want somebody to tell me what the fuck to do. And when you look at those leaders, they can't even tie their shoes. I don't want to tell people what to do. So this is the problem. I don't want to be a little too political, but it's just when you look at the waste in the system and you see how Bitcoin bring more efficiency to the system, and you see Bitcoin is the perfect system because Bitcoin basically is you have consequence. There's consequence. You make a stupid mistake, well, you're gonna have to pay for it, right? So, and you need to show proof of work. You can't just print, right? There's an incentive to be a profitable country. You need to elect a smart politician or a smart leader to bring profit to your country, right? So you can look at for example Nayib Bukele, right? Yes, I know, well, the media doesn't like him, but what he did for his country was great, right? He bring the GDP higher, right? I don't see any country in the world right now that has a good positive GDP, right? So they are losers. El Salvador is winner because they have good GDP, right? So those countries will be a winner, right?